The second heaven. From the first heaven, Enoch's angelic guides took him upward to the second heaven, a realm of stark contrast to the orderly beauty he had just witnessed. Here, instead of light and harmony, Enoch encountered darkness, a darkness more profound, more absolute than any earthly gloom. This wasn't merely the absence of light, but an active darkness, almost tangible in its oppressive quality, pressing upon the senses like a physical weight. The transition between these realms would have been jarring, from the open expanses and luminous beauty of the first heaven to this constricted, shadowy domain. The architecture of this heaven seemed designed to instill discomfort and dread, its contours obscured by the pervasive darkness, making it impossible for Enoch to gauge distances or dimensions with any accuracy. Whatever structures existed here seemed to absorb rather than reflect light, their surfaces drinking in even the faintest illumination that might penetrate this realm. In this shadowy realm, Enoch witnessed prisoners hanging in torment, awaiting final judgment. These weren't human souls, but rebellious celestial beings, angels who had turned away from their divine purpose. Their appearance would have been a twisted reflection of angelic glory, their once luminous forms now dimmed and distorted by their rebellion. Perhaps their wings hung uselessly, damaged or bound, symbols of the freedom they had sacrificed through their disobedience. These captives were suspended in a state of anticipatory punishment, not yet experiencing the fullness of divine judgment, but removed from their former positions of service and honor. Their faces would have revealed the agony of their situation, not primarily physical torment, but the spiritual anguish of separation from the divine presence they had once enjoyed. Having known the fullness of heavenly joy, their current deprivation would have been all the more excruciating. The prisoners were watched over by guardian angels whose appearance was darker even than the surrounding darkness, angels who wept incessantly. These weren't cruel tormentors, but sorrowful wardens, celestial beings assigned to supervise their fallen brethren. Their darker appearance didn't indicate moral corruption, but rather the solemnity and grief associated with their duty. They weren't merely guarding against escape, but bearing witness to the consequences of cosmic rebellion, their unceasing tears a testimony to the tragedy they observed. The weeping of these guardian angels would have echoed throughout the second heaven, creating a somber soundscape of lamentation. This wasn't punishment inflicted with sadistic pleasure, but justice administered with profound sorrow. The tears of the guardians represented the cosmic grief over divided loyalties and fractured communion that once existed in perfect harmony. Troubled by this sight, Enoch asked his guides, "Why are these beings tortured without ceasing?" The question arose naturally from his human perspective, for the concept of eternal punishment challenges our understanding of justice and proportion. His angelic guides responded with cosmic clarity. These are God's apostates, who disobeyed God's commands and followed their own will instead. They turned away with their prince, who is now fastened on the fifth heaven. This explanation provided Enoch with crucial context. These weren't arbitrary prisoners, but beings who had made a deliberate choice to reject divine authority and follow a rebellious leader. Their current state wasn't random misfortune, but the natural consequence of cosmic treason. The reference to their prince, fastened on the fifth heaven, established a hierarchical relationship between the various fallen angelic groups, suggesting a stratified rebellion with different degrees of culpability. The second heaven represents more than merely a prison. It embodies the cosmic principle that rebellion against divine order inevitably leads to constriction and darkness. The freedom these angels sought through disobedience resulted in the opposite: bondage and gloom. Their story serves as a cautionary tale about the consequences of placing individual will above cosmic harmony, a lesson Enoch would have absorbed with profound solemnity. This realm also illustrates an important theological concept: that judgment isn't merely a future event, but an ongoing reality for beings who have explicitly rejected their divine purpose. The prisoners of the second heaven weren't experiencing the final judgment, but a preliminary confinement, a holding pattern until the full consequences of their actions would be determined and implemented. The darkness of this heaven wasn't merely atmospheric but symbolic, representing spiritual obscurity that comes from turning away from divine light. Having once dwelled in realms of perfect illumination, these fallen angels now existed in a state that physically manifested their spiritual condition. Their environment perfectly matched their internal reality, an external projection of their inner darkness. For Enoch, this vision would have prompted deep reflection on the nature of cosmic justice and the seriousness with which the universe treats rebellion. As a righteous man who walked with God, he would have understood the fundamental importance of aligning one's will with divine purpose. The second heaven would have reinforced this understanding, showing him the inevitable outcome for those who choose otherwise. The imprisonment of these angels also revealed something crucial about cosmic governance, that while God permits freedom of choice, he doesn't allow the consequences of rebellious choices to spread unchecked throughout creation. There are boundaries and containment measures built into the cosmic system, ensuring that rebellion, while permitted, is also quarantined to prevent it from undermining the entire created order. The second heaven therefore serves as a place of confinement for lesser rebellious angels, not the chief fallen ones, but those who followed in rebellion. It functions as a temporary prison where they await final judgment, a grim reminder of the consequences of cosmic rebellion, and a testimony to the universe's fundamental insistence on moral order.